Hi, and welcome to Arrow's What Is series. My name is Steve Horrobin, and I manage Arrow's pre-sales team within Arrow's modern data center practice. Today, we are going to be asking, what is a UPS? As usual, in the IT industry, we love our acronyms. So it is an uninterruptible power supply. UPS, uninterruptible power supply. So what is that? Basically, it's a big battery that can maintain the power on a device for a certain time period. Now, it sounds very simple, and it is. So if we have a look in our rack, we always love going with a rack. We'll put a server into a rack, and we will put a UPS in the bottom. Okay, so this will be our UPS, this will be our server. Now, if we have our server with our power supply, as usual, we connect the server to a power distribution unit in the rear of a rack, which you'll see from the rack video that we've gone through. So in this instance, what we're going to be doing is providing a means of temporary power following power loss. So the way that this normally works is that the one side of the power supply will be connected to a traditional power distribution unit. So we will have the sockets available, we'll have the sockets on the back of the server, and we can connect the power supply to the PDU. Now on the other side, we probably won't put in a PDU, but we will have the power connector connecting to a series of power connectors on the back of the UPS. So these will be very, very similar to what we will have had in a power distribution unit, but we are now connecting the power from the second power supply to a power receptacle on the back of the UPS. And the UPS will then have a power supply, and that will run out again to a different power source than the primary PDU. So we'll talk a little bit about that in a second. We'll go into phases on power supplies. But in this instance here, we now have our server, one side connected to a power distribution unit, the other side connected to a UPS. Now, if we lose the power supply, you can use another color, how about that? If we lose that power supply, that means that the second power supply in the system then becomes the primary power supply and has to deliver all the power to maintain the server's operational state. Now, in this instance, the power supply is connected to a UPS. So the UPS then is able to maintain power to the server, but only for a predetermined period of time. Now, that period of time is calculated by a measurement which is kVA, kilovolt amps, and each server will have a kVA rating. So for example, if we said this server had a rating of 2 kVA, then we might have a number of those servers connected to the UPS, but the UPS will then have a rating associated with it that could be 2 kVA for 10 minutes. So that means the UPS, the uninterruptible power supply, will maintain power for the server, which is within this 2 kVA limit that we have here, as an instance, for a period of 10 minutes. Now that means within that 10 minutes you have a number of options. You can gracefully shut down the server, so you're not losing any data, you're not putting the data into a crash state. You're shutting all your applications and all your databases down cleanly, so you don't lose any data, you don't have any data lost in transit or in flight or not written to drives inside the server or even out on the network. So you can close it down in a clean state. The other possibility is within that 10 minutes, you have the option to find an alternative power supply for the data center, or that period of 10 minutes gives the data center the time to start diesel-powered generators that can then provide that missing power. Okay, so large data centers, like some of the big cloud data centers, they will have UPSs, they will have a UPS room inside the data center, so it's all protected from a power point of view. But they will also have rows outside of diesel power generators. So if the data center loses its entire power off the grid, it can fire up generators and maintain the power for the data center until it can be restored. Now, that's for large data centers. In a small data center here, we have our one server, we have our UPS. That's going to provide access for 10 minutes. So it gives us time, as I say, to shut the server down in a graceful manner. If we have other servers in the rack, then again, they may well be 2 kVA. We could have some networking products that could be 1 kVA. So we'll total up all the power requirements for the equipment in the rack that needs to be protected, and then we'll make sure that the UPS that's provided can meet that power requirement and also the duration that you wish to maintain power so you can do your graceful shutdown. So that's exactly what a UPS is designed to do. I mentioned at the bottom there were 2 power sources coming into the system here. If both these power sources were off the same source, you've lost power to your PDU, you've lost power to your UPS, the batteries will still hold you up and still give you that 10 minutes. What a lot of data center designs will do is they'll have the power coming in from different phases of a 3-phase power supply. So that starts to get complicated, but there are 3 phases in most data centers. We have the usual brown, I think there's a black, and a grey. These are the new colours. It used to be red, blue and yellow, I think. It was very straightforward. But now we've gone to brown, black and grey. So these will be phase 1, phase 2 and phase 3. So when we were designing the power here, we may put phase 1 on the power distribution unit and then put phase 2 onto the supply for the UPS. So that means, again, if we have any problems here with a phase loss on the power supply coming into the rack, then the UPS is able to help us. Okay, so I hope that's been straightforward. That's what an uninterruptible power supply is. If we're providing servers or storage or networking, it makes a lot of sense to put a UPS into the rack. So please include those in any quotes or configurations you may be looking at. But I hope that's been useful. That has been a presentation on what is a UPS. This is Arrow's What is series, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Thank you very much.